Hello. Welcome back to the If You Roll It, They Will Come podcast. Me, your host, Spark Kratos, and this is a very special episode I have for you guys all today. So yesterday night, I did shrooms for the very first time, and we're gonna go ahead and just talk about that experience, everything that happened last night on this podcast episode today. So sit back and enjoy. So this was, for me, my first time doing it, and this was a very impulsive decision. Now, not impulsive that I did, it was impulsive that I did shrooms, because I've been wanting to do shrooms for quite a while now. About the past, I would say, starting in around May of this past summer, so for the past like four or 5 months, I've been really wanting to just try shrooms and just see that experience. I had been smoking for a year already, so I'm open to that next experience to try psychedelics. And on this particular day, yesterday, me and all my friends, Jim and Kenny, we were talking out in the living room of our apartment, and somehow, I don't know how, we just started talking about shrooms, because I was already pretty high, and I was just making myself some food, and then Jim, I think he was about to start smoking too, so we were already in a good place, we're already all vibing, and me and Kenny are just kind of talking, and then Jim's already done shrooms. So Jim's already done shrooms and acid before. So he is the only one in our group that's done psychedelics. So he is kind of the resident, he's the only one that knows what he's talking about with this type of stuff. So what ends up happening was, we all just kind of talk, and we're all joking around. And then I was like, yeah, if I could find some shrooms, I would do it today. And then Kenny was like, yeah, sure, if you found some, I would do it with you. And I was like, okay. And then when he said that, I started taking this a little bit more seriously now. Now Kenny did not end up doing shrooms with me. I want to point that out. But that is just what got me really in the mood. He was just kind of psyching me up. And then once he said that, I was like, oh, now I kind of really want to do shrooms today. That really got me in the mood. So I went on my Snapchat. I looked through my plug stories. Couldn't find anything. None of them got anything, or none of them were posting. So I was like, okay, it looks like it's not going to happen today. But Jim, the thing with Jim was he was rushing earlier this year, then dropped. So he knew some people that could probably get him some shrooms. So I asked him, and I'm like, hey, can you hit up your guys and see if they have anything? So he ends up doing that. And about, I don't know, an hour later, this was around 3:30, 3 o'clock, I get a plug. Jim sends me over a plug. The plug's got some shrooms for a good price. He's got an eighth for $40. I'm like, yeah, I will go pick that up. I had $40 in cash. So I wasn't looking to spend any more than that. And so, I finished my homework yesterday. I'm on October break. I don't have really school going on. I don't have anything going on the next day. So I'm like, this is a perfect day. So I go out, drive out, meet up with him, pick up the shrooms, head back to my apartment. And around 6 o'clock is when I decide I'm going to eat them. And everyone always says that shrooms have a really, really bad taste. And I don't know. For me, it wasn't really the taste that was hard to get down. It was more the fact that I was eating a dried mushroom. Eating the dried fruit, vegetable, whatever you want to call it, fungi. It was a little harder to get down, but more because of the texture and how hard it was rather than the flavor for me. And what I ended up doing was I had one piece. I didn't eat the full eighth. I had about 2.5 to 3 grams. So I had one piece by itself just to see what it tasted like. It didn't really taste like anything. And then I just put the rest of them in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That way I could just gulp it down like that and, get it all into my system relatively fast. Because it was just going to be faster for me if I just ate a sandwich in 5 minutes than it would have been just eating every single one by himself. So I ended up taking these, and I take them around 6 to 6:10. And this was a really fast come up. I was not expecting that. Around 30-minute come up, around 30, 45 minutes. Around 6:40, 6:45, I really started to feel it. And let me tell you, this come up was really, really aggressive. It was a lot like edibles when you come up, because it punched me on my ass. It fucking knocked me down for the first good 30 minutes of this trip. 20-30 minutes, I was just laying on the couch, couch locked, because what ended up happening was you get hit immediately by the visuals. So that's going on. So you're starting to see shit. And the thing I'll say is, what it made me see is everything kind of has texture and patterns. Things are moving, the walls and door frames seem to be breathing, if you know what I mean. Some things are a little fuzzy. I was watching a baseball game last night, Now that was hard to beat. Really, I could not focus on that at all. I was seeing like 3 of the pitcher, 3 of the hitter. They were just completely blurry. The background was just completely blurring into each other. The colors kept changing. It was a Giants-Dodgers game. The blue I kept seeing different shades of blue, and it kept just sparkling and looking weird. The grass kept changing colors. It was moving. Watching sports was pretty difficult. I will say that, but that was not what I was mainly doing the entire night. I'll get to that. But back to the come up now. So this come up was pretty aggressive. Like, I was laying on the couch for the first 30 minutes like, oh my god, what the fuck did I get myself into? And I felt really nauseous. It felt like I was greening out. That's how nauseous I felt. And I've heard from Jim, he told me that his friends, when they did it too, and he did it, they felt nauseous at first as well. And I was like, okay, that makes sense but it took me about 30 minutes. And what I was feeling really right there was an intense body high, like a really heavy body high, like indica, that will couch lock you and can't make you move. It was one of those type of feelings. I was getting that. I was getting a little dizzy and a little nauseous, and my head was burning hot, like I was on fire. And that slowly subsided as the time went on. So after that, like initial 30 minutes kind of went on, I started getting up, walking around, getting my feet under me, figuring things out. And that's where the enlightenment and euphoria starts hitting. After that first 20-30 minutes, I wouldn't say 30 minutes, but after that 20 minutes I was on the couch, I just was up and ready to go. This was a really energetic drug. I will say that. I didn't really know what it would do energy-wise. It made me pretty energetic and it made me happy, that euphoria feeling, and it also gave you that enlightenment feeling. Like, for me, what I'll kind of describe it is, okay, so your body lives in a 3-dimensional state. When you take this, it feels like your body is still in that 3-dimensional state, but your soul, okay. So 2 things I found out from this is, one, sorry, God does not exist from this. We are living in a multiverse with multiple realities all playing out at the same time. There is no God controlling it all. It's all just fate, universe, that sort of thing. Multiple realities are playing out. Once, that's what I was able to figure out from that. 2 is, even though our bodies are in a 3-dimensional state, and that's kind of like the reality we're in, there is more than that. And that I think a lot of people can understand and kind of get that, even if you've never done shrooms. There's more than 3 dimensions. And when you're tripping, I don't want to say high, because you're not high, you're tripping. I kind of have to remind myself that when you're tripping, you get to see and feel those other dimensions. Because like what it felt for me was, the entire time it felt like I was floating. Like, my soul felt like it was floating, and my body was still anchored in the ground in reality. And it was pretty fun, because what I kept doing was, I got really energetic and started walking around. So in the living room, we had a baseball game going, and it felt like one totally different reality. And then when I would go into my room, I had some music playing, and we were getting ready for a fucking hockey fantasy draft that I'm like, me and my friends are not really paying attention to. I was in it for like the first 7 rounds and left on auto draft. But so in my room, it felt like a completely different universe. Like, everywhere I kept going, it felt like I was in a different universe, in a different reality, and none of the things were playing out at the same time. Like, every time I went back into the living room, I was like, oh yeah, this place exists. This is happening. And then I would go back into my room, and I was like, oh yeah, this place exists. This is happening. It was really fucking cool and fun. And then what me and Jim did was, Jim wanted to take a shower, and he's trip sitting me. Jim's trip sitting me. And he wanted to take a shower. And he was like, can I leave you alone? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go take a shower too. And he was like, can you take a shower right now? I'm like, yeah. Because at this point, I already got my feet under me. I wasn't feeling as nauseous anymore. I was still feeling really good. I was starting to feel the good parts of the trip now, kind of. Because that first 20 minutes was really aggressive and intense. After that, it felt really good, and it was a fun time. So I go and take a shower. And let me tell you, this was the greatest shower I've ever taken in my life. I bring my little speaker in there. I set it up next to the shower. I'm playing my little anime music, and I am just absolutely vibing out. I played some really kind of trippier song at first to really get me in the mood, and it really did help me, because the whole time, like, things are moving, like the water just doesn't feel real on my skin. It feels fucking amazing. The like cracks are moving in the shower, like the shower towel cracks are moving. It looks like there's like worms inside of them making lines and shit. It's looking fucking trippy as all hell, and I'm just having a grand old time in there. And that was really fun. So then I ended up taking that shower. I come back out. Me and Jim get ready, because we're going to go out and just go for a walk. and because we need to go to Trader Joe's. So we decide to go out for a walk, and we start heading to Trader Joe's, which is down the street from our apartment. And I'm still tripping at this point. And when I was walking, of course, when I was walking on the sidewalk and I was walking next to the gym, I was like, bro, it feels like every memory I have ever had, I'm reliving at this point. Like, the insane deja vu I was getting. It was intense deja vu. Like, really, really fucking intense deja vu. Because it just felt like every time I was walking, it felt like every memory I've ever had walking down that sidewalk was playing out at the exact same time, and I could see it all happening at once. So even it was at night, so every time I've ever walked down that sidewalk at night, it was playing out in front of me, and it was really, really trippy, kind of, because I kept kind of forgetting like I was in a reality, in the world with other people. And this is also where it started getting kind of hard to keep my thoughts straight, because I was also listening to music and I was talking to Jim, and it's just hard to multitask when I was on this shit. It, like, I could, but it was really fucking difficult for me to it was like I want to be focused. It was one thing and my mind's moving at 1,000 miles per second. I can't really think straight. Everything's just kind of hitting me, and that's really to be expected for your first trip, I'm going to say, is because if you've never done it, like, yeah, I was expecting visuals and I was expecting some of these other things, but I didn't really know what it felt like until you're in that moment. Someone can tell you how it feels to be high, how it feels to be when you're tripping, but you don't really even know how it feels like until you're there. Like, what I didn't know is visuals carried over even when I closed my eyes. So I would have my eyes closed and I would still be getting really, really intense visuals behind my eyelids. And that was pretty fucking cool. That was a fun thing to see happen. It was unexpected. And so back to what we were doing. So we get to Trader Joe's and we're shopping, and I am like just whacked out. Like, I'm looking at my hand and it's fucking moving. The skin on my hand just looks fucking weird as all hell. I could not focus, and I'm just trying to keep my eyes down. Because my pupils are dilated as fuck right now. Like, if you look at me in the eye, you could probably tell I'm on some shit. It wasn't like that. It was pretty clear that I was on shit. So what ends up happening is, like, we go there. We were just really there for eggs and milk, and I don't think we really got anything else. Jim picked up like one or two like foods things, but we were just there for eggs and milk because we just needed it for the apartment. So we go and do that, and like when we get up to the counter, oh my god, I was the one carrying the milk, and like so Jim puts the basket down, and I'm just holding the milk, and I'm just like holding it above the basket at the Trader, because at Trader Joe's they just have that like little pull out thing. The little sidebar that they pull out to put your basket on. And so I'm just holding it, and then the guy just kind of looks at me. He's like, "Oh, do you want me to take that?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I just kind of give it to him, and then just walk to the other side of Jim. And then and Jim's taller than me, so I'm just kind of like hiding behind him at this point, just keeping my head down. And then when we walk out of the fucking store, I'm like, "What the fuck is happening? What the fuck was that? What the fuck?" I'm just like, "Whoa." And I was just like, "What the hell is going on?" It was fun though. Like, we go back. And then we walk to the apartment, get my car. He drives. Of course, I'm not driving. He drives, and we go to pick up his girlfriend. We're just kind of waiting for her, listening to some music in the car, having a grand old time. I'm texting my friends back home, and this was really fun for me because it felt like they were there with me, and I kept kind of having to remind myself that they are not there, because even though we were just texting, it felt so vivid. It felt like I was there with them, like in the moment with them. And it was really funny because one of my friends, Peyton, like my best friend, he sent me this one really fucked up kind of looking text, and I literally sat there looking at it for like a good 30 seconds just laughing to myself. I was like, holy shit, it's moving so funny. It looks fucking amazing. Like, all the other texts were just doing slight movement. Like, it didn't look real. It like kind of looked like they were text effects, but there weren't. But this one just looked like it was full on flowing, and I was just like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. So yeah, we pick up Jim's girlfriend, we head back to the apartment, and I just have a swell time and just kind of chill out for the rest of the night. I don't fully remember a lot of my thoughts of what I was thinking. A lot of it was just happening so fast I couldn't really comprehend a lot of it. I will say we are living in there are multiple realities, and like Marvel is right, there's a multiverse. The multiple realities are happening at the same time, just in slightly different ways. They're all happening at once. We do have souls. I could really feel my soul at that point. and everything is alive around us. Like the earth, the trees, everything is breathing, it's moving. You could really feel that when you're on shrooms. You could just look around and feel the movement and the breathing. Because what was really cool was my visual effects, like when I was looking at cars and shit, it didn't really do anything to them. Cars, street lights, street signs, they wasn't really do anything. But when I would look at neon signs, it would do shit again. But when I would look at some of the buildings and some of the fucking trees and shit, then the visuals would really still be there. And I was like kind of testing myself, because I would so we were sitting out in front of the Starbucks where Jim's girlfriend works, and there was a tree to our right. So I would look outside to the tree, see that in the wind, and like see kind of like the blurriness of the tree moving, because that's what it was windy, really windy last night, and it was really blurring the tree as it moved. And then I would look over to this building a little bit further away, and I could see the movement on the wall, like, because the architecture has like a lot of semicircles, so I could see like the movement from these semicircles with the light and the shadows, and it was looking pretty cool. And then I would look out in front of me, and a car would drive by, or there'd be a car, and nothing. It was so bizarre and cool, and I think that's kind of like makes sense, because shrooms is a natural product. It's all natural from the ground, and that's why it's pretty good, and that's why it's so trustworthy to do. It's not something like acid where you got to be scared with what you're ingesting. This is shrooms. It's all natural, baby. It's from the earth, and that's why it's making everything from the earth look like that. And so I will that's really it for the rest of my trip. After that, I started coming down when I kind of came back to the apartment a little bit, hung out with some, talked with Kenny for a little bit, watched the rest of the game, then played some video games with my friends, then fully came down. Trip was only around 4 hours, I would say. It was a good, enjoyable trip though, and two things I want to say from this. One, I can understand why some people would do shrooms or acid for every day for like a month. I've heard of those binges. For me, that just does not seem desirable at all. It doesn't seem desirable at all. Like, as fun as that was, I could not, like, the visuals were cool. I could not, like, if I had to deal with that for, like, a while, that would get really fucking annoying. It was really cool because it was my first time having visuals, so I was really enjoying them and trying to see, like, the extent to what they would go. And that's fun, and I think you should do that with your first time. Because, like, then you can, like, seeing the visuals, seeing how you perceive them, and seeing if you like them or not is kind of one thing. Because if you don't, then you could always do the microdosing effect, which is taking smaller amounts to get that enlightenment feeling without having some of the side effects such as visuals and other things. So those are just some things to keep in mind. And two, for me, this trip really kicked acid out of my system. Like, before this, I was still really open to doing acid. And the last few months, like when I was wanting to decide to do shrooms, I was also open to do acid. Now, not so much. Acid's more of a thing where I will think about it when I get maybe to the end of college. We'll see where I'm at. Because shrooms was a really fun and enjoyable experience, and it was around 4 hours, and I've heard some of the longer trips can maybe take 6 to 8. And acid, on the other hand, is an all-day experience. It's around 8 to 12 hours of just everything. And that's the one thing, like, I could do this, but I don't know if I can endure 8 to 12 hours, especially with with the more side effects that acid can have. Because acid is synthetic, it's a lot more dependent on your state of mind, your well-being, and it's a lot easier probably to get into bad trips. Like, I did not have a bad trip in my first time doing shrooms. I did take quite a lot. My friends were kind of saying that. For me, this was the targeted amount I was going for, because what I told my best friend was, there's like with weed, you can kind of dip your toe in. You can go very slow. With psychedelics, I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to dive head first and get all the way wet to see what it was like, because I wasn't going to start out with a microdose and then go from there. It made more sense to me, at least for me, to just take a good healthy trip. Like, a good trip for shrooms, like the average trip is around 2.5 to 3 grams. That's like a good healthy trip. So I was like, okay, I'll do that and I'll see how it affects me. If it hits me really fucking hard, I know I can take a little bit less. If it doesn't hit me that hard, I know I can maybe take a little bit more, or this is the perfect amount next time. I think I did find a really good swell amount. But yeah, this kicked acid out of my system. I don't really want to do that for a while. I'm not going to be doing shrooms for at least another month, probably another 3 to 4. It's going to take me some time. I might end up doing it when I go back to California and seeing some of my friends. If I can get some, we will see how that all goes. But that is the end of this episode and me talking about taking shrooms for the first time last night. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of the If You Roll It, They Will Come podcast. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.